adventurers and rangers. Time for a family story. And what have I got for you this month? This month is all about tales from the Norselands, and this story is from way across the sea, or as many people know it, the Whale Road, because it is a road for whales. So across the Whale Road, over the rolling waves, that is where this story takes place, and it is about why the sea is salt. Because why is the sea salty? We've got freshwater rivers, haven't we? And if we turn the tap on, you get fresh water coming out. It doesn't taste of salt. But in the sea, it's all salty. And that's because there is something in the sea causing it. Or is there? That's what I'm going to tell you a story about. Now, in this story, there is a magical quernstone. Now, what's a quernstone? A quernstone is a big concrete stone, or would have been out of concrete. They made them out of granite back then. Big stone, and it has a stone at the bottom and a stone with a hole in it at the top, and it has a handle on it. And you put grain in between the two stones, and then you turn the stone, and it grinds the grain down. Grinds the grain down to a fine flour. Most households would have had a quernstone in order to grind down the flour and make bread each day, because that would have been the main thing that they would have eaten. So let us hear about this magical quernstone, and I will tell you the story of why the sea is salt. We're going to travel across that Whale Road, across the rolling waves where the sea foams, across to a land they call Norway. This is the Norselands, and it is here that there live two brothers. A younger brother who does not have much, to be honest. He has a small holding where he grows what he can, and he has a house which, unfortunately, has holes in the roof. And then there is the older brother who is very rich, far richer than you could ever imagine. He does not want for anything. He has beautiful velvets as clothes. He has any kind of food you could imagine that you would want to eat. And he has a manor house that has absolutely no holes in the roof. Now these two brothers, they don't really get on. The older brother, who's rich, doesn't really want to have anything to do with the younger brother. And the younger brother, well, he doesn't want to bother his older brother. Until it is that there comes a Christmas where he has nothing to eat. Nothing at all. The crops have been bad that year. And so it is that he finds himself going to his brothers, because his brother is family after all, and begging his brother for something to eat. The rich brother, he is not at all happy to see his younger brother on his doorstep, in his rags, lowering the tone of the neighbourhood. But this is his family after all. And so he says to him, I will give you a side of bacon. That's a whole piece of uncut pig. Okay, great big piece of pig, which would feed that poor man's family for a very long time. He says, I will give you that side of bacon if you go to the ends of the earth. Well, the younger brother, he has no choice, and so he says, okay, that bacon would feed my family well for many weeks. I will take the bacon and I will do as you say. I will go to the ends of the earth, and then I will come back and feed my family. Well, the older brother, the rich brother, he laughs as he closes the doors, because he thinks that's the last he will ever see of his younger brother. He'll never see him again, because it's the end of the earth. How's he ever going to reach that? And so the younger brother sets out on his journey across the lands. He comes across all sorts of different strange and wondrous lands. Deserts, mountains, meadows, forests. Can you think of any? Oh, savannas, that's a good one. Yes, savannas with lions in them. He had to be careful through those. Until eventually he came to a place where he couldn't be sure if it was grass or sand or trees or mountains. It was all just a little hazy. And there was just one little hut. And he knocked on the door of the hut. And an old man answered the door. "Can I help you?" "Yes," said the man. The side of bacon was still under his arm. "I am looking for the ends of the earth. Have I found it?" "You have," said the man. "Be careful though, because that palace over there..." Well, now the man was really confused because he hadn't seen a palace before, but like I say, it was all a bit hazy for him. The old man continued. "That palace over there," he said, "the people that live in there are magical people. There are many magical people at the end of the world. There are unicorns, centaurs, satyrs, elves, piskies, brownies, pukas, all sorts of magical people. And when they see that side of bacon, oh, they are going to want it for their feast." "But they cannot have it," said the man, thinking of his wife and his children who were very hungry. "Well then," he said, "go and feast with them, because you are going to need to eat before your journey back. But do not give them that side of bacon unless they give you the quernstone which is behind the door. Bring that quernstone back to me and I will show you how to use it." "Very well," said the poor man. "Thank you very much for your advice. I shall do as you say." And so it was that he went into the palace and he was greeted with open arms, for the fairy folk, the magical folk, always want somebody to play with, don't they? And this man was just that man, and he had an enormous side of bacon under his arm. "Oh, we would love that for our feast," they said. "Oh, do give us the side of bacon, do, please." "You cannot have the side of bacon," said the man. "This is for my wife and my children. They will starve if they do not have this." "Oh, please, we have given you food and drink and dance and offered you hospitality. Surely you can give us the side of bacon." "Well, very well," said the man, "but only if I can have that quernstone that's behind the door in exchange." Well, the fairy folk, they whispered, muttered, and they humphed and they scratched their chins and their heads and "Not sure about that, old man." "Well, that's my deal," said the old man. "You have to give me the quernstone in exchange for the meat." There was more huffing and muttering and whispering and scratching of heads until eventually the magical people agreed that they would give him the quernstone in exchange for the meat. And the man, he picked up the quernstone and he left the palace and he went back to the old man's hut and he knocked on the door. "You're back," said the old man. "Oh, good, I'm so pleased. Well, let me show you how to use that quernstone. Here, you turn the quernstone just like this. And as you're turning, you think of all the food that you could possibly want and you speak it out loud. Jelly, trifle, ice cream, lemonade, all those wonderful things. And out of the magical quernstone came all of these things as the man is speaking them." And the old man said, "But the thing with this quernstone is you must be careful with it. You must always thank it once it has finished giving you the food that you need and say to it, 'Thank you, quernstone. Now it is time for you to stop.'" "Good," said the old man. "Excellent," said the poor man, for he was poor no longer. He had this amazing quernstone. "I will take it home immediately," he said. And so it was that he set back off through all of those strange and wondrous lands. Do you remember what they were? The deserts, the meadows, the forests, the mountains, those savannas, yeah? All the way back through all of those lands until he reached his house. Well, his wife, she was quite worried as to where he was. She did not know where he had been all this time. And she questioned him. "This almost Christmas Day is almost over. Where have you been? And what is that you've got hold of? That's not food." "Do not worry yourself, wife," said the man. He said, "Look, And he put down the quernstone and he started to turn it, and he started to speak all the foods: turkey, roast potatoes, Yorkshire puddings, cranberry sauce, gravy, lashings and lashings of gravy. And from the quernstone came the most amazing Christmas dinner. It was glorious. And of course the man did not forget to thank the quernstone and ask it to stop. Well, once the family had had their fill, word soon got round that they were no longer poor, that they had plenty of food and they could now spend money on repairing the house. And, well, the neighbours came to visit and they too asked for food. And, well, the man would not turn them away. He gave them food from the quernstone. And so it came to the ears of his rich brother, and his rich brother could not stand to see the younger brother doing so well. And so it was that he went to the front door of his brother's house, and now it was his turn to knock on the door. When the younger brother saw the older brother stood on the doorstep, he welcomed him. Come in, come eat with us. This was all that this younger brother had ever wanted, was to be able to show his brother some hospitality as well. Show him that he too had something to offer. Well, the older brother knew, didn't he, that he did have something to offer, and he asked to see the quernstone immediately. The brother showed him, and he showed him how the wondrous food came out. But what he did not tell him was how to make it stop. He kept that to himself. And so when his brother asked to buy the quernstone from him, the younger brother, well, he said, but this feeds my family. This is how I'm able to feed my family. Why would I want to give you the quernstone? And the rich brother says, well, because I will give you 300 pieces of gold. And, well, the younger brother sees that all his older brother is really after is this quernstone. He does not care for him at all. And so he forms a plan. He thinks, I know what I shall do to teach my brother a lesson. He agrees to give his brother the quernstone for 300 gold coins, but not until the harvest is ready to bring in, because that will give him enough time to make food with the quernstone to keep in his pantry, to keep him going over the winter. Agreed, said the rich brother, for he knows that once he has that quernstone, he won't need anything else, and he'll never need to see his brother again. And so it is that he gives him the 300 gold coins, and the younger brother sets to work making lots of smoked meats and mackerel and fish, smoked fish, and he starts to create lots of pickles and potatoes and turnips and all the things that you would need to last you over the winter that will keep well in your pantry. So he does that. And then when it is time for the harvest to come in, the rich brother turns up and asks for the quernstone, which the younger brother hands over happily. The rich brother's very pleased with himself, and he heads off back home to his wife. And he says to the wife, he says, wife, today I would like you to go and work in the fields, and I will get dinner ready. And in fact, bring all the staff as well. All the staff can have dinner with us. Now, this was not something that the rich brother normally did. And the wife was quite confused. But she said, it's okay. Not a problem. I'll do that. She thought, actually, a day in the fields, away from the hard labour of the kitchen, would actually probably be quite good. And so that's what she did. The wife spends the day in the fields, threshing the corn and tying it up, ready to come in. The rich brother, meanwhile, is back at the manor house. He's put his feet up because he knows the quern is going to create him dinner. He doesn't really have to do anything in particular. And he decides that this evening for dinner he is going to have herrings and something called milksop, which is like milk with bread in it. That would be a delicious meal, and he'll be able to feed all the staff with it. And you won't have to lift a finger. When the sun is starting to set, he starts to think about creating dinner. And he turns to the quernstone and he says, quernstone, make herring, make milksop, and make it quick, he says. And so the quernstone starts to turn, and all of the herring and the milksop comes out of the quernstone, and it starts to fill the table. Soon the table is full, but of course the brother does not know how to make the quern stop. Stop, quern, stop, stop, stop. What are you doing? Stop it, stop it. He doesn't know that you need to be respectful. You need to thank the quern in order for it to stop. He doesn't do that though. And soon the whole kitchen is full of herrings and milksop all over the place. And it is running out of the door and down the path. Well, the sun has almost touched the ground now. It is almost set completely. And the wife and the staff in the fields have not been called for their supper, and they do not know what is going on. So they come home. And as they're coming home, they see the rich man fleeing from his house going, "Save yourselves! We're all going to drown in the herring and the milksop!" And he's running away and along to the brother's house, because he knows that his younger brother will know what to do. And he knocks on the door and he says, come out, what is it? What have you done? You give me a quern that is just keeps producing herring and milksop and it won't stop and I don't know what to do. The younger brother calmly takes the quern from the older brother and he says, I will get the quern to stop, but you will have to give me 300 more pieces of gold and the quern back. I don't care what I have to give you. I don't want that quern anymore. I'm absolutely swimming in milk and bread and herring. Just do something with it. And so the younger brother whispers to the quern, "Stop, quern, please stop. Thank you. It is time for you to stop." And it all stops. The older brother is so astounded, he does give him the 300 pieces of gold, and that's that. And he never calls on him again. Well, the days roll on, the weeks roll on, the months roll on, the years roll on. And now the younger brother has worked out how to get the quern to create gold. He has so much gold, he's able to stick it on the outside of his house so that he has an enormous gold manor house which shines like a beacon from the cliff edge, where he is now moved to by the sea, because he loves the sound of the gulls and the smell of the sea. And here he lives a very good life. And the shimmering, shining beacon on the cliff edge catches the eye of a merchant sailor out at sea. And he sees that house and he looks at it and he thinks, ooh, that person must have a lot of money. I wonder if they would like to buy the silks and the spices and the tea that I have on my boat. I'll go and visit them. And so he does. Sails, makes a straight line for that house. He sails up to the cliff. And when he gets there, he weighs anchor. He walks up the cliff path and knocks on the door of the golden house. "Hail, sir," he says. "Do you have need for spices and silks and tea like no other you ever seen?" "No, I do not," said the younger brother. "I have this quern and it does everything for me." And he shows the sailor the quern. Now, the sailor is astounded. And he sees all this food coming from the quern. And he offers the brother a lot of money for it. 3,000 gold coins. Because he knows he's never going to have to make a journey across the sea ever again if he has this quernstone to make all of the spices and the silks and the tea for him. So, the younger brother accepts. And he does tell the sailor how to get the quern to stop. But the sailor isn't listening. He's just so amazed and can't wait to get this back to the ship and show all the other shipmates what it does. So he doesn't hear how to stop it. So he goes back to the ship. And as they are sailing away across the sea, they are arguing over what they're going to make with the quern. "We don't need more spices. We've got lots of those in the hold. And we don't need more silk and we don't need more tea. What about salt?" "Now salt is worth a pretty penny," said the first mate. "That it is," said the captain. "Let us make salt with the quern." So it was, they sit on the deck and they start to turn the quern. "Make salt, quern, make salt," it says. And so the quern starts to produce salt. Mountains and mountains and mountains of salt. And the other shipmates, they're putting it into sacks ready to sell. They can't believe their luck. And more salt, more salt, more salt. They can't actually put it into the sack quick enough. And then they realise that there's too much. It's all over the deck. And so they start throwing it over the side of the ship. and they don't know what to do with it, and it won't stop. Stop it, Captain, stop it, Captain. They said, stop that quern. The captain tries everything. Stop it, you scurvy quern, stop it. The quern will not. Quern has not heard the magic words, has it? And so it is that the quern continues to produce salt, mountains and mountains of salt, until there is so much salt on the ship starts to sink. Boom, 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 boom. Further and further down it goes until there is nothing else the crew can do but to get off that boat and into the small dinghies that they have on the side. Thank goodness they all got out. But the ship and the quern, that all went down to the bottom of the sea, and the quern is still grinding salt out of it now. And that, my friends, is why the sea is salt. I hope you enjoyed that story. That's a funny little tale of a magical quern. Can you imagine, a quern that would give you any food you wanted? What food would it give you? What's your favourite food? Do you know? That story comes from the Norselands. It comes all the way from Scandinavia and from Norway. It's a story that has been told for many, many, many years. And you can tell it to other people. You can ask them, do you know why the sea is salt? And then you tell them that story. There's a few activities for you to do once you have watched the story. You can do a little experiment with salt water and fresh water. You can also do a little puppet. There's a little paper doll puppet as well. And there is a recipe for you to make something called salt dough, which is like a nice alternative to Play-Doh. So why don't you have a go at making that? And then you can create your own magical feast and paint it. Okay. I do hope you enjoyed that story. And I'll see you all next time. Toodle pip!